You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
Welcome to Minute to Skim It, where we're going to tell you what books are the coolest this week. Well, at least the ones we've read.
Yes.
Kyle looks frozen. It's awesome. Walter, hello, welcome in.
It's a weird comic book day, man.
Don't go down the rabbit hole. It's like I tell my kids that I teach, like, come back, rabbits.
Oh no, I'm sitting here looking at my list going, did I read that book?
Yeah, you did.
I don't remember it, but we'll get to that when it comes up, I suppose.
When you see the picture, you'll be like, yeah.
Or I'll be like, yeah, I don't remember it. So.
Oh, what is happening?
You clicked the wrong thing, Jay.
Says
weird.
There's
Oh.
This one says Geek Chat. The other one says Minute to Skim It.
That's the Minute to Skim It when there's only two of us.
Well, now I know.
Guys, sometimes Jay stays up all night and then goes to sleep like an hour and a half before the show, then wakes up to do the show, and his brain doesn't wake up.
That's true. That's true.
It's real fun to call him, and it's you're the first person he's talked to since he's woken up, and it's like, I've dealt with people who are drunk who are more coherent. It's pretty fun.
Okay.
I love Jay, by the way. It's hysterical. All right. Let's do books.
Hey, it's me. Nightwing. Okay, so if you like seeing all of the Robins get together and do a thing, that's this week. It's just a delight to see every single issue of Nightwing just brings something extra cool to the table. And in this one, the main story is awesome, but the thing I like is the kind of like backup story, which is, I think it's like maybe 5 or 6 pages of even better than this cover's art of literally like, when they do like your favorite Daredevil episode where it was like a fight in a hallway. This is a fight in a subway. Subway train specifically. And it seems to, the whole bit has almost no words, or maybe it is no words for this part. And it seems to tie into kind of this, they leave you with a cliffhanger, the main storyline. And it feels like for the world, like you're actually going to see it play out. It's so good. And it makes you the whole time so worried. If you are not reading Nightwing yet, even if you don't care about Batman or, any Robins or Nightwing himself, you should just try it. Try an issue or two. It's Taylor's been killing it. He's ramping up to I think he's getting to the end of his part of the series, and I'm sure he's going to go with a bang. But there's a reason why this creative team won Eisner. So,
is this the book why people are burning Tom Taylor's picture on the internet?
What? I don't think so.
Okay, because apparently people are burning Tom Taylor's picture on the internet.
I don't think so.
Okay. I don't know. People are just acting like he broke up with him 2 days before prom.
Well, I mean, he it feels like he wants to try to burn down the house as he goes, but
I mean, that's normal.
Yeah, that's what you should do, right? Kill what they love.
Speaking of burning down the house as it goes, almost literally, Look, I say this every time I review this book. If you've ever been to Oshawa, Ontario, you've dreamt that this book would happen. Mainly because it felt like it already had when you went to Oshawa, Ontario.
Did you forget you were there?
Yeah, there's nothing there. It's pretty boring. In this book, in the first issue, Oshawa is swallowed up by a sinkhole and everybody disappears. And we find out in issue 2 that as time progresses after this disappearance, the collective memory and existence of the people of Oshawa also disappear. So the survivors who were following in this book the displaced, their IDs are no longer valid. They no longer have bank accounts. They no longer have work history. They no longer have, their families don't remember them. Their in-laws don't remember them. No one remembers them. And so as a result, they have to figure out how to exist without all of that stuff. And in issue 2, one group realizes, hey, you know what we can do? Crime. Because the second they don't see us, they don't remember us being there, so they don't even know they got robbed. And that's how this book opens. But this book really goes into the old man on the cover and kind of his connection to all of this, and how the other guy on the cover with the squirrel on his shirt is similarly connected. And what you're finding is that maybe, and they're starting to plant the seeds of, maybe it wasn't a sinkhole, maybe it was something else. And the old man is starting to feel like he has Alzheimer's, but he doesn't. Like, it's clear that he doesn't, but boy, does it feel like he does. And at the end of the issue, there's a kind of a, what you would call a Act 3 climax of a movie. You know, you're coming down, you feel like you're moving along, and you're in the third act, or you're into the, you know, the end of an act, I should say. So this might be an Act 1 climax. But you get to the end of an act, and there's a big climax, and then something happens, and it leaves you on a cliffhanger before diving into the next act. So I don't know how many issues The Displaced is supposed to be. I never asked Ed. But this kind of feels like the end of trade paperback 1, like leaving you on a cliffhanger.
Sure.
Or, you know, if this was Yellowstone, it would be a mid-season break. So really, really killer issue. Killer issue. I think for the first time in this series, they've asked more questions than they've answered. And I like that because it gives me a lot of anticipation for issue 4.
Ooh, Ultimate Black Panther. Okay, I don't think that we've seen Killmonger yet in this series. I could be wrong about that. So it says enter Storm and Killmonger, so maybe this is our first appearance of them. So in this issue, you get to see a kind of a I don't want to say battle. There is a power struggle between Okoye, who is now the queen, because she is married to the Black Panther, who is missing. And you know, you've got his sister, who, you know, is used to having her brother around, is being challenged by Okoye. So you get to see them have a little bit of a battle, which is awesome, because the way that things work in Wakanda is a little bit different. You know, just like you can't be disrespectful and not have it be answered with a challenge, I guess. And the real thing is, all Okoye wants to know is, where's my husband, and why won't you tell me where he is? And in the second half of the book, you actually find out where he is. It is connected to Killmonger and Storm, and their looks are so cool. Like, do you see that they have these like really thick dreads in the cover there? That is their look, and it's just over the top cool. Just remember that all of the Ultimate line is tied to a universe that the makers created, in which there are no heroes, that he has put in place some pretty major bad guys to kind of control this universe that he's put together. There is Ra and Khonsu, which together are Moon Knight, and I can't remember who the other baddie is, but it's such a cool, like, all of the stories have been so amazing. There's no books that are kind of like throwaway books in the series, and this is kind of a heads up for you guys that the next big release in the Ultimates universe is called The Ultimates. And I think you're going to see some pretty cool characters come out of that series. So almost every single issue in the Ultimate line so far has been a first appearance of the character in that Ultimate universe. And I know for a fact that Hickman has got a long tail for this series. So just like, we're just now kind of getting to the end of House and Power with the fall of the House of X. This one has also been kind of slated to be a really long series like that. So it's a good time still. You're not too late to grab, to try to get in, because this week also is releasing some more second prints, third prints, fourth prints of the original series. So don't wait. I mean, I'm sure they're going to keep printing them as long as we want them. But at some point, they're going to be like, no, we're not going to make an 8th print of number 1. You're just going to have to like wait for the trade or whatever. So go find them at your LCS. Oh my gosh, what a great cover.
I know this isn't the main cover, but when I see Trish Forstner, I gotta choose her covers. I love her style. So this was actually my last pick. But I switched it, and there's a reason for that, and you'll see when I get to my last book. This was a fun story. It's Darkwing Duck meets a series about a Doctor Who. Ooh, sorry, lost my train of thought there. Travels in a box with a friend, maybe a companion, and a new villain named the Botherer, who controls robots, has followed this pair. I hope somebody caught the Doctor Who thing. I was trying to be slick, but whatever. This guy's followed this pair to St. Canard, and the Justice Ducks try to stop him before he fossilizes everybody and takes over the world. It's Darkwing Duck. It's Justice Ducks. This plays out just like it would an episode on TV, so you kind of know what you're getting with this. I've been rewatching Darkwing, and between that and the comics, I need to reboot something bad. I need a new Darkwing Duck cartoon. Dynamite has just been killing it with these books. They're just fun little. These don't feel connected to the first issue. They feel kind of like they're little one shots. But this is a fun series, and like I said, Dynamite's been doing a great job with these properties, and I already can't wait for the next one. Like I said, if you haven't given this one a shot yet, you really should. It's just a fun book.
Just a real quick, if you go to your LCS and don't see Justice Ducks this week, don't freak out. It appears on some of the lists as a release for this week, and some of the lists as a release for a couple weeks from now. So, don't know exactly, but since we get the books from Dynamite, I assume they're out this week. So.
And also another heads up, because of a big semi-wreck sometime this week that was supposed to be going to Diamond, it was supposed to only affect titles that were coming out from Marvel, that stores that buy their Marvel titles from Diamond were the only ones supposed to be affected. But I know of at least 2 shops that I've seen post today that they got a box from Diamond, but it was for Free Comic Book Day books and not any of their regular books for this week. So I don't know if there's a separate box coming later or what. So don't go to your LCS and be like, shh, you guys are evil. They're just like, they may not have them. It's not their fault.
Right. Like I said, it's one of those. This is one of those that in this case, just be cool, man. Be cool.
Be chill. Oh, this one was so daggum cool. All right. So, giant size Hulk. I might actually have to look at it again. You know how when you're like going, I read a ton of stuff. I remember I loved it. It has a cool backup story that is an old tale, like they've reprinted something that happened before. Oh yeah, this is groovy. So in this one, it really kind of deals with a brand new character. What is the character's name? He's got a really trippy one. So imagine if you met kids that were kind of like train hobos. That's what this one is about. These kids that have hopped on a train, but I guess in whatever time period that they're part of, or maybe it's just part of the culture, that they have to like pay their way, even though they're not officially on the train, to this weird character that is just hanging out on the train car they're on. His name is Patchwork Jack. He is heck scary. And so these kids jump on the train, which looks like one of their regular methods of travel. They all know each other, and one of them is already, has like stolen some sodas or something. I don't know. But they realize that there's an adult on the train with them that isn't this other guy, the bad guy. And this fellow is basically just says to them, just kind of ignore me. Don't bother me. Just leave me alone, kind of deal. And the way this all like lays out is just such a cool story. I can't tell you hardly anything else about it, just like messing up the whole thing. But just know it's awesome. Hey, Station. Man, we haven't had Station on for a while. Station, everybody. It is a really scary, scary bad guy. I don't like him. It creeps me all the way out. So this one is and it also, just so you know, it leads in directly to the next issue of Hulk. So don't miss it. If you're reading the normal story, this isn't a throwaway thing. This actually leads into the next issue.
Okay, so we both read this one.
Yeah.
Miss Jen and I did. Miss Jen, do you want to go first?
Sure. So this is a really thick book with a lot of story and art in it that I really enjoyed. It focuses in on this character that's down here at the bottom, who is a young man who has a dad who appears to have some kind of terminal illness or something that just like makes it so that he can't have a normal, like, I'm going to come see you at your school, do a presentation kind of life. Like he wants to, he's still, tries to go to work and all those things, but his son's like, just stay home, Dad, and chill out. And he goes to a really cool school, which the school looks like it kind of encourages people to do inventing. And Kyle, I'll let you go from there.
So if you guys know like about Bronx Science High School or places like that, where they have more specialized educational programs, here in Toledo, we have Toledo Technical Academy, which is a school that is specifically designed for people who want to go into technical fields, airline mechanics and things like that. This kid goes to someplace where you can invent. And these are really, really smart kids.
Yeah.
And our main character, Dudley, is maybe not so good at the inventing thing, although he is. But he seems to be one of these kids that, like, his mom broke a mirror and he got stuck with the bad luck, or
that's like,
oh, I know. His grandfather ran afoul of Madame Zeroni and had a curse put on his family and was forced to dig holes in the desert with Shia LaBeouf.
Oh my word.
You know what I mean? Like, you guys know what I'm getting at here. Like, bad luck runs in this dude's family. And he has a failure, and then his whole world seems to be crumbling down, right? And he goes to quit school, basically, to quit this program so that he can take care of his father, who Miss Jen said is ill, and the rails cease to exist. This book doesn't just go off the rails. It forgets that rails were once something it could have. I'm going to tell you guys this, and I'm going to stop talking. There is a talking corgi who's like 1,000 years old.
Yep.
Like an immortal talking corgi.
I also like that it name drops a whole bunch of other inventors.
Right. Like, I'm going to wait and say immortal talking corgi one more time, and then I'm going to pause so y'all can run to your LCS right now and order this.
Uh-huh.
And that's not all. There are machine men and weird interdimensional space travel and a guy who looks vaguely like a metal toucan and like all sorts of craziness that happen in this book. And it's this teenager finds himself in a world he didn't know existed, surrounded by the people to whom he has looked up to. No, the corgi does not wield a chainsaw because he doesn't need to.
Mm-mm.
But this world he doesn't know exists. And he's surrounded by the people he's admired for years, his whole life. In a way. And at the end of the issue, there is a giant twist.
Yeah.
That makes this really interesting to me. Otherwise, it would have just been a fun romp, but the twist at the end is really fun. And I will say this. I was a little concerned about the art. Looking at the first few pages, I'm like, this feels almost too cartoony for what this book seems to be. Like somehow we get in a Hoy book. Sometimes we get in a Hoy book and I'm like, why is that dude's head the poop emoji? Like, it's too cartoony. But Jamal Igle is probably the only artist on the planet who could have done the art for this book.
Yeah.
It's just perfect. It's this really fun kind of, oh, everything is more complex than you seem, and here you're having, the reality of the world that you didn't know hoisted upon you, and you have no options. And there's a immortal talking corgi.
And now, thanks to Kyle.
This is my favorite book this week, by the way.
Thanks to Kyle and that Holes reference, this book is now Dudley Yeldud, the fourth in the Forever Machine.
It's true. It's Stanley Yelnats, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeldud.
Yeah, I got it.
Hey, Backwoods. Oh my gosh, this book was so much fun. It's one of those things, like I read it and then I was like going, okay, it seems like it's going to have another issue, like it's continuing, but it also might not because the entire thing is farce. It is. I wanted really badly to like read you just a little bit of the dialogue in this, but I know I can't because it's disallowed. Oh, so
what are they going to do? Read it. What are they going to do?
No, I'm not allowed.
What, Al Ewing going to come on here and yell at you? No.
Marvel people might be mad. Okay, so imagine if Roxxon, who is that company that owns everything in the Marvel universe. If you've ever paid attention to any of the movies, like everything is owned by Roxxon. And it if Roxxon also sponsored Thor as a being, it's like his hammer is called what is it? It's like Maximum Hammer or something. It's as if you like unlocked it as a Disney Plus level. And everything he says, he like works into it like other Roxxon like merch in his discussion. And it's instead of calling everything Midgard here, they call it Earthguard. And every time they ever mention Earthguard or Earth, they find a new way to like make a little star asterisk, and like it just gets more and more ridiculous because it's just like it tells you every time it's Earthguard until it's like one time it says Earth and then the asterisk says guard. It knows what it is. It is the funniest thing this week. If you just want to laugh your guts off, get this book. It's, yeah. Like he cuts his hair because Roxxon thinks it'll get him better like social media presence. I'm happy.
Also, Miss
About
Jen,
that.
I feel like we don't have to worry about if we read Marvel books. Between your
Oh.
connections and my connections, I think we're fine.
Maybe so. I should have just asked beforehand. Can I read a small excerpt?
I'll just send Mr. Buckley an email going, "We're doing it. You can't stop me."
Ooh, golly. Man.
I could almost just record the review that I have for this book and just play it every time I read this book because it's the same. It's the same every time. This continues to be, after 7 issues, still a fun, multi-layered, multi-timeline story that, if I'm not confused by it, everybody else is golden because I get confused easily. The 1300s AD timeline shows the corruption of certain characters and Sheila's fight with them. 1993 Evil Ash now has an army fighting the U.S. Army and winning. 2093 Ash finds out maybe there's not just one Necronomicon, which I thought was an interesting thing to do. Here's what I'll say. Tony Fleece is just on a tear right now. He's in his James Tynion, Cullen Bunn era, but Tony Fleece.
I would hesitate to say a Tim Seeley face.
Yeah, he's golden right now. Between this and Stray Dogs and everything he's been doing, if you don't take my word for it at all, even Robbie says this is one of the best Army of Darkness books he's read, and I'm a huge Rockin' Robbie mark. So to hear him say that he likes something as much as I like it, it's high praise for me.
Mm-hmm.
Really, folks, check this out. Check out Stray Dogs, Feral, Uncanny Valley, especially, and literally anything else Tony has written. It's all great. Like the title says, forever. I hope this goes on for as long as Tony can make it coherent and just a great time because it's always fantastic reading this book.
I saw you looking. Were you looking to see if you could answer Triple B's question?
No, I'm looking to see who did this cover because I want to slap them. I cannot stand this cover.
Why not?
It triggers like 9 of my phobias.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Too scary.
Hey Jay. Like before I have a panic attack.
I like the reverse shotgun. All right. Oh man, Avengers Twilight continues to be so awesome. It is just ramping all the way up. So far in the series, what you see is the main baddie is the Red Skull. He has figured out a way to basically through kind of like disinformation and social media and news and all that stuff, completely brainwash portions of the military that the president is not good and that they should overthrow him. And, meanwhile, that's just so he can get displaced so, the Red Skull can take over, which is mind-blowing to me that they would allow that stuff to go on. So you have all of the Avengers that can. Keep in mind, this has moved way forward in time. So, like, Cap is old. He doesn't, he had to, like, retake on the, super secret serum so he could be super soldiery again. And so they're all trying to, like, go against him. You get to see a little bit more of what makes up some of these characters, like who is Jarvis part of this? Is Ultron part of this? How do they mix together? And the big like the heartbreaking part for me is the fact that Tony's son is on the side of the Red Skull and is, you know, really evil. He's a bad kid. He's an adult kid, but he's a bad kid. And you get to see the armor that he's built in this one. And I think it's the first appearance of this universe's Hawkeye, which you can see right there. And this is continuing to be just like a universe that I'm so glad that they started. I'm hoping this isn't a short thing if this goes on longer. But yeah, it's snuck up on everybody. But I think this is another week in which you have an opportunity to get, I think, third or fourth print #1 of this. So just like don't wait too long. I don't know when your last chance will be to get the books for this, but I can't recommend this series more highly. It speaks to me in all the ways. I like to see Luke Cage be like, I have to put on, you know, some assistance armor, but it's not because I'm not bulletproof anymore. It's just because my body is failing me. But I'm still going to show up for the fight, dadgummit. Love it. Look at that cover.
This is a beautiful book. It may be not so beautifully written, but it is a beautiful book. Bilquis is the whole reason I'm reading this book. I think Tom King is telling an interesting story, but maybe not executing it to full Tom King quality. If that makes sense. Like, and I don't know if it's because he's trying to write in too many voices, perhaps. Because this book takes place in at least 4 different time frames and in at least 3 different voices. And I think trying to piece that all together is proving a little difficult. And so I think maybe it's time we stop jumping. So this is issue 2 of Helen of Windhorn. And what you have at the beginning of the book is, you know that thing when you go to a local comic shop or to any store really, and you talk to the author of the book? It's that. And it's somebody telling them that, it's somebody telling one of the characters in this book that, oh, I'm related to somebody you know. And that somebody is our main narrator of the book, of Helen of Windhorn. Come to find out that the narration the woman has been doing, the matron who is caring for Helen, the narration we've been hearing is her giving dictation or telling stories into a tape recorder that was given to this author who we've now met in the beginning of this book. If that confused the hell out of you, welcome to this book. But Helen, the character you see there on the cover, is the granddaughter of this like rich baron guy in the late Victorian era. And after Helen's father dies, she gets sent to live with her grandfather, and the grandfather hires this matron to like deal with her because Helen, at 16 years old, she drinks like Kyle used to drink when Kyle was allowed to drink, and then likes to play with swords. You know, like bad stuff. And so they hire this matron to sort of help her and to kind of guide her education. But she's really not interested. And in the first issue, you meet this monster that the grandfather, who's like this old man, just decimates. And this book is Helen trying to figure out who her grandfather is, what his deal is, and what her father's deal was. The thing you learn in issue 1, and it's kind of not talked about in issue 2, is that Helen's family can see these monsters, these mythical creatures, and nobody else can. Helen's grandfather has figured out how to deal with this. Helen's dad dealt with it by getting absolutely plastered. Helen has taken after her dad. Not necessarily because she knows why, she just knows she needs to. You know, it's that thing where you don't know why you're going into the family business, you just know that you are, and your family business is drinking so you don't have to deal with monsters. And so this whole issue is kind of that, and it ends with Helen sort of diving into this world a little bit. But where the book kind of loses you and loses me especially is modern day author talking, Helen story, modern day author talking, Helen story, modern day author talking, matron story. But the whole thing is narrated by this matron.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know who's talking until you're 4 or 5 panels into them talking. This really would play well as like a full cast recording audiobook where you could hear the voices change.
Sure.
Because sometimes it's Helen talking and sometimes it's the matron, and you're not sure which one until you get further on. So I'm really hoping that this is kind of an explanation of the voicing and that we just get one cohesive voice going forward. But I feel like Tom King, and I feel like I say this every week, as the kids say, be out here doing too much in this book right now, and it just needs to kind of settle. But other than that, this book is just gorgeous. If you read Alice in Alice Ever After, the Dan Panosian books that he's been doing, the Alice in Wonderland stories, this is it. This feels a lot the same. That same kind of very beautiful Victorian style art. So.
That's not the thing I read today, but it would be really hard for you to know because I didn't give you a lot of information about it. So what I read was this cool thing. So it is actually the first 4 sold out comics from this series all in one issue. So it catches you all the way up, which is good because I had read the first one but hadn't gotten to read the other ones, and it's sold out, so I can't. So this is awesome. So all you need to know about this series is it is about a school that teaches black magic. It has, I think, what do they say, 72 families that they, whenever the school is opened, which isn't every year, it's just like randomly, they have to send a person that they choose from their family to the school. And the headmistress, super creepy, by the way. And he's one of those guys that wears like a big, gigantic black robe and a mask, and you never see his face. And when they show up to pick you up, it's just him. He hands you a mask and a robe and says you're not allowed to talk. I guess that's kind of a thing that you earn later on. Although the students tend to talk to each other. But it's like, and it's only like 7 people get to graduate. Everyone else, I guess, dies. So it is all the art is kind of cool because it's not a lot of colors in the art that happens. So it's almost all black, whites, and reds, which is really cool and makes it extra creepy to me. And it follows primarily one person. I think his name is Matthew, who is the selection for his family. So very, very dark, really awesome. What if Voldemort ran Hogwarts? Maybe like that. This just feels even darker. Like it embraces the black magic part of the training of black magic, if you can imagine such a thing. So no happy, fun parts. Like, I think as they arrive to the school, one of the students perishes under circumstances that the circumstance is that they decide they don't want to go. And then they get burned to cinders. Look at all those cool monsters.
Not too much to say about this one. It was action packed and funny, and it had a twist that wasn't really a twist, but it was there nonetheless. I mean, let's be real. Lovecraft was not a good person. He wasn't a good person in real life, and why make him a good person in a comic? Just great writing overall, great visuals. The dialogue is so funny. The dialogue is what gets me the most. And it's not even just Elvira. A lot of the characters in here just have some funny lines. I love the Elvira books, and I'm hoping the end of this one brings on the next Elvira series. If you're an Elvira fan, you should be reading these. They're great. Cassandra Peterson is actually a part of this, so a lot of the input is coming from her. I was like, man, David just writes her so well. Well, yeah, because she's kind of helping him out. But terrific job. It's Elvira. I love Elvira. Everyone pretty much loves Elvira. So if you haven't read any of these, just pick one. Just pick one of the series up. They're all fantastic.
Okay. This is one of those great series that Vault completely backed by offering comic book shops that wanted to accept them as many copies as they wanted to order. They comped them. So you should, if your LCS participated, should be able to go find copies of number 1 of this series. I sold out of issue number 2 before I got to read it. So I'm kind of like jumping ahead into this one. So it appears that the main character is going through a crisis. It sounds like in the first issue, she might be sitting by the bedside of her maybe husband, who is, I don't know if he's dying or what has happened to him there. And she somehow is like, just like Alice would do, is like split off to go, I don't know what she's looking to find something very specific that's been promised to be able to help her. But she also has these 2 other friends that are with her. They also have different kind of like, she has the ability to like bring color and artistry to the worlds that they're visiting to. And one of them brings light, the one that has like the up sign on her. And I don't know that in this one they actually tell us what the other one can do. But what it brings to this issue is that I don't know if you can see the artist list that's on this book, but there's a bunch of different artists. It's not, like Kaplan's writing the book, but there's a ton of artists. And the reason why is that every time they cross over into any kind of new place, the art completely changes. And the most part of this book, the middle 3/4 of the book, is so stunningly beautiful. I can't even explain it to you. This art that's on the front part of the cover is what the last maybe 10th of it is as they cross over into this realm. But it's just like one of those like super funky trying to find the one thing that can help fix it all, but nothing is tied to our world at all. So it's very fantasy and cool. Like there are talking trees in this one that deny that they are the thing she's looking for, but then they kind of show up when she bids. And she actually uses a power to like, and it really is like devastational, that the one that she uses in this. So it's so cool and so hard to explain what it is. It's beyond real. It's like very, very right cover or title for this book. But I highly recommend if you can go find the number 1. If you can't find it anywhere, just let me know and I'll help you figure it out. But yeah, it's really great.
Okay. So I just sent Jay and Jen a message. We need to pick up the pace a little bit. And I'm going to help with that a lot.
Go.
I couldn't read it. I looked at it, but this book is almost entirely 2-page spreads or done in landscape mode. So the PDF was impossible to read.
That would make it hard.
It was a real bummer because I was big excited for this book, and I'm still big excited for this book. When I get it tomorrow, like I'll do a Instagram live or something here on the Experience page and talk about this book once I pick up my copy, because the art in it looks incredible. It all has this sort of almost like it's all photostat art, like somebody drew it, then cut it out and then pasted it on a page and then wrote the dialogue on it. Like it's really kind of a crazy art style, and it's really interesting. And it has some potential to be really wicked cool and unique. But again, it just, unfortunately, the way that Jay and I have to read books with PDFs, when you have a book like this that's really art based and they're trying to do things in double page spreads or turning things sideways, it just makes it really difficult to read that way. So unfortunately, you get no real review from me until later.
Okay, so there's nothing too exciting about this one, but it's still a good read. It feels like a setup issue with Twitch going to help his friend with an old case, or with a new case. Old friend, new case. This is an interesting take on Sam and Twitch because they're separating the two of them for now. So it's just Twitch. Like we see Sam for a little bit, but this story is just Twitch going to help his friend. This is, think of it as a slow burn serial killer mystery. We're introduced to characters, and near the end, we get what could be a red herring kind of murder. And if you read this, you'll get what I mean by that. It gives you a feeling of either they're revealing something way too soon, or you're Jon Snow and know nothing. Is basically what I got from it. Depending on the next issue, I'm going to. I'm going to keep reading this because I love the tension and everything, but depending on the next issue, it's really going to gauge for me if I would read this or suggest read this issue by issue, or if I would just collect all the issues or get the trade and just binge it all at one time. This feels like a story that's the burn is that slow on it that you might want to do that. It might be better all at once kind of story. I love Sam and Twitch. I love the Spawn Universe stuff. So if you're into murder mysteries and stuff like that, you should pick this one up.
Ooh, Silicon Bandits. This is, I don't know if it's the first title out of Magma, but is an early title out of Magma. New company. I know one of the people that is involved in this company, and I'm super excited for them. I got to read they put out a kind of a ash can that had the first bits of a bunch of different stories, and I was excited for this. So this is a husband and wife team. They're working for a big, gigantic corporation to make better and better and better and better androids, basically. There's a rule that they have as part of a society that all the androids they build have to have kind of this weird translucent skin so you know who they are. They can't hide. The problem with working with big evil organizations is that they sometimes may, like when you're talking about robots kind of like taking over your job or making you obsolete, that might happen to you too, even if you are the brilliant family that is creating these things. There is a weird dynamic between this husband and wife. I will let you discover it. And there's big twist in here for what happens to them and to their creations. Highly recommend this. I'm trying to think if I can figure out another comp for you that's like it, but I don't think there is anything that's really like this out there. I really like it because I like sci-fi. I like any story that has like what makes us human. I like flawed characters. This gives me all of those things. And it's very, I don't know when it's supposed to take place. It could be 20 years from now or 5 years from now. I don't know. Because I don't think they have any cool things like flying cars or any of that stuff to give you a clue. So this one is awesome. Oh, this looks awesome. I love Stefano's art in this.
You probably should have read it then.
What?
The art style doesn't work with the story.
Oh.
The story is very interesting. It is one of these slice of life sort of romance stories that you get in manga where a robot falls in love with a human, which is cool. And Stefano Cardicelli's art is cool. But when you put them together, it's like putting ketchup on an ice cream sandwich. Doesn't really work.
What flavor ice cream?
Like a regular ice cream sandwich. With like chocolate, vanilla, chocolate, and then you slather ketchup on top of it.
Yeah, Preston. Yeah.
As much as it reminds me of that, Preston, it reminds me more of Keith Giffen. It really does feel like Keith Giffen art. I think if you separate the two and you give a robot person story to Stefano Cardicelli and have somebody else write a sci-fi story, great. I think if you take Francesca Perillo's story, this robot love story kind of thing, and have somebody else tell the story, or have somebody else do the art, I think it's great. I just think the pairing is weird, and it doesn't really work. And about 3 pages, it had just turned me off so bad, I just skimmed the rest.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate because I think it has all the pieces, but just not of the same book. It's like, trying to put 2 different puzzles together and hope it makes a good picture. It really doesn't.
Wish I could remember.
And that's a real bummer.
But there is a really amazing person falling in love with a robot story that Vault did probably 4 years ago.
Right,
so good.
And like I said, if this was a manga, if it was done in that mangaka style,
oh, there you go, yeah,
I would be all over it, and it would have been a phenomenal story. And the story's still great, and the art's still great. They just aren't great together. It's like Cyclops and Jean Grey, man. It's got all the pieces, it just don't work.
Okay, first off, I did not know that this was released last year. I just noticed that when I was reading this today. This was last year. I don't know how I never found this, but this book blew my mind. This was actually the first book I read, and it was so good. I was like, man, I wish I would have read this last. I couldn't have been more wrong about what this book was because, I thought it was a reimagining or like a reboot or something like that. Could have been further from what it actually is. The twist in this book is so out of nowhere for me that I'm like, I'm gonna have to reread this and see if I missed something. And because I'm trying really hard not to spoil it, like I said, I thought this was like a reboot or a reimagining, and it's not. I thought, I spotted callbacks to things. They're not. I had to go back and check the other PDFs, because I thought maybe I was missing something. But at the end of this one, all the way at the bottom, or not all the way at the bottom, there's like a stinger page, an art page, and then something else. There's something there that wasn't in the other 3 issues, to where it finally clicked in my head what this was. And once I did, I was like, how have I never read this? How did I not see this coming? And I'm trying to think of another comic that has done this, that didn't let the audience know they were doing this, and I can't think of one. And that's so freaking vague because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But if somebody reads this, I want them to let me know what other comic has done something like this, that didn't let the audience know they were doing it, and did it surprise you as much as it did me. Get this book.
I can't control myself. There's a barker with a marker on the front. Okay. Spectacular Spider-Man. Definitely go and find #1, which has a reprint today or tomorrow. Sorry. The whole first issue is really Miles and Pete trying to have a normal life. They've decided that one day a week, at least, they're going to meet somewhere in public where they're not going to do any superheroing, and they do. The whole issue is literally about Miles his entire thing is like he just like uses an app and messages in his order at this local coffee shop, and so he becomes a regular right away because he, like the coffee guy just like calls his name out. Pete's entire desire through the entire issue is to become a regular, in which the barista gets his name wrong or his order wrong or whatever, and the last page is finally like, yes. So they don't lose that in this book. I was worried that as they went to this next issue, they're going to like totally forget about that and lose it. But it's not true. They actually start out at the coffee shop again, which is great. But they've noticed that one of the people that is at the I hope that's not my lights getting ready to go out. At the comic shop or the coffee shop is not acting the way they normally do. It's a regular that's just like real. There's something off about them. And they like, Miles, can figure that out. There is something going on that is going to make, it's going to like, as much as they want that to be their safe space where nothing crazy goes on, it's not going to be true. Because you can see even as I get to the end of the issue, it's going to affect it even more. Their safe space is not going to be safe anymore. I feel so bad for them. They can't have any peace. But it's awesome to see them as, like they make modifications on each other's quips and stuff in this one, which is so fun. That's it. We did it.
And with 20 seconds to spare, visit your local comic shop and buy comic books. If you don't know where the comic shop nearby to you, visit comicshoplocator.com and it will tell you. So until next week, I've been Kyle. That guy is Jay. That's Jen. We'll see you next time.